Hello and welcome to Freedom Revamped. For those of you who it is your first time here, Freedom Revamped is a platform dedicated to helping others define their sense of freedom. Today we have a very special guest with us, and her name is Kai Williams. Kai Williams is an author, creator, CEO, and woman of passion and excellence, honing in on her natural gifts and talents of writing and invoking creativity in such a way that invites and promotes others in the industry to excel. As someone who has been writing since the crayon was placed in her hand, Kai Williams is a natural writer and was raised with great insights and expertise from her mother, who was an English teacher. As the self published author of Sips of Poetry with Kai and My Sister's Keeper, which has a sequel currently brewing, in addition to creating her own works and building her businesses, Kai is proud to be an avid community builder, not only through the services she offers, but through her collaborative work with other organizations inflicting change. She has worked with hundreds of minors via case and social work and writing and facilitating programs to avoid recidivism, knowing that even if she could get through to one, it was one more than the day before. Kai has big plans of expanding her brands, offering more to authors, nonprofits, and creatives, and essentially making the world a better place with her gifts and the gifts of others. Without further ado, I am going to add Miss Kai to the screen. Hello.
Hello. Thank
So,
you for
guys,
having me.
yes, thank you for joining us. So, based on Kai's book and her social media platforms, the topic I have chosen for us today is My Sister's Keeper. Before we get into the topic, though, since we are Freedom Revamped and we focus on finding freedom and defining freedom, the first question I ask all of our guests is, how do you define freedom?
I define it innately. I think freedom comes when you are comfortable with yourself and you have no desire to feel validation in others, or excuse me, from others.
Awesome. I love that. I think my definition of freedom will always remain the same. I'll always say that freedom is being 100% myself without caring what other people think and just allowing other people that same space in return. But also, my definition will stay the same, but how I have to practice it in my day-to-day life changes. So, with your definition in mind, how do you
hmm
practice freedom?
I think I really started practicing freedom when I stepped out and started sharing my writing because I've always written, but I've not always shared it. So that makes a big difference. And for me, it took a lot of years for me to be comfortable with sharing whatever I share, no matter what other people think about it. Because ultimately, with writing or any art, it's always going to have an audience. It may not be everyone, but you'll have your own audience. So with that, I had to find my own comfortability and understanding and just become free with doing that. And I think opening up myself to the writing world and allowing myself to share more allowed me to walk in freedom in other ways. Hence, me starting my own business and me taking all of my skills and talents and pouring it into my own business instead of working for other people.
I love that. So, guys, like I said, today our topic is My Sister's Keeper. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how do you define sisterhood?
For me, it's like love, which I think both are a choice. I was not raised with sisters. So, for instance, with my story, it is a work of fiction, but it is called I Am My Sister's Keeper. And what I did was kind of take a little bit of my own life in that I don't have biological sisters, but I had a few great girlfriends that I can still call to this day my sisters. And in doing so, I incorporated that into my first novel. So I have four young ladies, of which two are biological sisters, and the other two are kind of lifelong sisters. So to me, it's a choice.
I love that. I actually do have a biological sister, and then I have friends who I consider my sisters. So I would define sisterhood as just finding people who are there for you, who are going to give it to you straight, but also support you in the way that they know how. So, how important is it to you that we find women who we consider our sisters and form bonds with them?
I think it's actually very important for you to find your sister circle. I think that is defined differently for each of us based on what we need from other individuals, because we are all unique and we are different. But I think that it's really important to find your sister circle, in that you have people that are there with you in the trenches or when you're doing great. You need that kind of support. It's not the same as the relationship support you might get from your significant other. There's a deeper connection there, especially when you find people that are like minded, not meaning they agree with everything you do, but like minded in the goal setting and the achievements and what it is you're trying to do with the rest of your life. You want people to support you, not constantly break you down. And when people are trying to give you criticism, there's nothing wrong with it, but you want it coming from people that love you enough to make sure that they are delivering what you need to hear, not what they want to break you down.
Awesome. So, guys, I know I mentioned before that I chose the topic based on Kai's book. So, the book is called My Sister's Keeper. Can you tell us a little bit about the plot line of it and how you came to even write the book?
So, what brought about me writing the book, or me coming up with that as the title for the book and wanting to explore that, was the fact that I was not raised with sisters and that I did have some real sister friends in life. Um, I wanted to show the dynamics of women from different walks that are able to come together and support one another at different times in their life. So for me, it was just a story of sisterhood. And I think the most important detail for me was trying to get people to understand that it is really important to pay attention to who is truly there for you, not only when you're doing well, but also when things aren't going so well. Because it's at that time when you may seem at your lowest that you find out who's really, really there for you and who was there just because of whatever it is you were bringing to the table.
Awesome. So, I don't know about the listeners or about yourself, but I grew up in the church. So we always hear, you're your brother's keeper, you're your sister's keeper. So
Mhm.
what does it mean to you to be your sister's keeper? Like, how do you go about being your sister's keeper or being your friend's keeper?
So I will start with this. My greatest asset is loyalty. But of course, we all know that usually your greatest asset is also your greatest weakness. So for me, I'm just very loyal. If we are truly friends, then I'm there to the end, unless there's a reason detrimental to my life that I need to move away. So that being said, I think anybody that you poll that is a true friend of mine, if you ask them what my greatest quality is and why, they are so close to me and vice versa, they will probably tell you it's my loyalty factor.
Awesome. I love that. For me, being my sister's keeper is I'm the youngest. So, being my sister's keeper is just allowing her to grow and be the
Mhm.
big sister she was created to be.
Mhm.
And also, I had to learn that when she's giving me advice, it's not like she's doing it to better me. So,
Exactly.
listening
It's
to
in
that
love.
advice and taking it. Yes.
It's
And
in love.
that was hard for me to learn because I mean, I honestly don't know why, but it just was. So learning that was a big part of our relationship growing.
Well, you're not alone. It's hard for a lot of people to learn that. We all have moments where we are a little shy of the criticism coming our way, or the conversation that might be coming our way to better ourselves. But again, the core is that if it's coming from a person that you know in your heart truly loves you, then once it
Mhm.
settles, the information settles within, you probably have a better chance of receiving it than if it comes from someone else. So, for instance, with the book, it's kind of the same circumstance you said. Obviously, one sister that is biological would be older than the other. They're only a couple years apart, but the dynamics for the first book was that the younger sister was protecting the older sister and had to step up and do some things that they never thought would have happened to them. So, in understanding that, I think what you just said, most people have to go through it. I mean, it's not always easy, but eventually we get to an understanding within ourselves that it came from a place of love.
Agreed. And I'm so thankful that now I'm finally learning it now that we're both older.
Mm.
So, I always like to close out sort of with two advice questions because I know that people are in different phases of their lives. So some people might have found their sister groups already, and some may have not. So, the first question I'm going to ask in the advice section is, what advice would you give to women who have not yet found their sisters in life?
I would say it would depend on how old they are, but I would say if you have not yet found your sisters in life, it's okay because most of the time that comes as a result of not having found yourself in life. So, what you first have to do is focus on yourself, understand who you are as a human, as a person, as an individual, especially depending on where you are in life. If you're growing from teenage to young adult to maybe a little bit older, it depends on where you are. But ultimately, you do have to have a true understanding of who you are as a person, as a human, what you want out of life, and what you think is most important, the qualities of the people you want to have around you. I think when you start living freely and you start being who you really are, those that energy and those people will come to you. I don't think you necessarily will have to seek it. I think it will come to you. So for me, it's just keeping your eyes open, being open to change within first, and really honing in on who you are and what you want in life. And once your energy is aligned with what you need it to be, you will draw those people to you. I don't think that it is something you look for. I can't say that I've ever looked for it. It just came to me.
I love that. And the next advice question is, what advice would you give to women who have found their sisters and want to continue to grow their bond? Because, I mean, I can speak for me. You know, sisters have that. Sometimes we argue, sometimes we fight. So, what advice would you give to them when they're going through their rough patches and want to grow that bond?
So sisters that are already have a bond or that have already been with each other, I think the most important thing is to watch each other and see how you're growing and be supportive of that growth. And then also be in tune with how you are growing. There are times in life where people grow apart, but ultimately, your true sister friends, I think we continue to grow. That's what we want. And if you don't see it, I would suggest you talk to whomever that friend is that you don't see moving forward, because sometimes we're stifled and we aren't able to move forward. So when you have true friends in your life that really, really understand who you are and what you're worth, they tend to push you and they tend to be there to help you get to the next level. So I think in order to keep the bond as it is, um, you should not be comfortable with where everybody is at that moment. It should always be a what's next, or what are we trying to do in the next 5 years, or what are our goals? What's going on personally versus professionally? And why are things working and why aren't things working? These are the times when you come together to talk about real life. There's fun time, and then there's time to get with your sister friends who know you like the back of their hand to really talk about the changes in life and what you're going through. So I think you keep it, or you grow your bond or keep your bond the way that it is in order to enhance your future life. So keeping the bond and nurturing the bond is important in order for you to move forward, because you want to help other people grow, but then they also have to be helping you grow. So it's kind of a give and take. I'm not sure if that was the answer you were looking for, but I do think it comes on both sides. You have to give and they have to give, and vice versa. So you've got to be comfortable with sharing what's going on with you, the growth that you want, kind of like what you said with your sister, and getting in tune with taking criticism. You still get it from your friends. It just depends on how close they are to you. And if they're very close to you, then they will definitely be there to push you to the next level. And those are the friends you want. And that's how your bond grows, because they're continuing to take you and make you go to the next level. They're not comfortable because they want to see you do more.
I love that. And I'm definitely taking notes over here.
I know it's
But
all over the place, but
yes.
I mean, it's true to me. There's really no right answer, but from my girlfriends, that's what I get. They're constantly pushing me like, "Oh, this is great, but what are you going to do next?" And then me the same with them. "Oh, you just started this business. That's wonderful. Now, what are you going to do next year? Like, what's going on with you? Where do you want to see your business grow to?" And then, what's going on in your personal life? Some people are dealing with finances. Some people are dealing with job loss. Some people are dealing with family situations. Whatever it is, you kind of need that core group of people that really know you, to know what you're worth and to keep you from staying stagnant.
I agree. And like she said, the advice might not apply to everyone because every relationship and every
Of
sisterhood is
course.
different.
Of
So
course.
you just have to learn what works best for you and your sister or your sister friends, whatever you call them. But
Hmm.
thank you so much for being a part of this. And I definitely was, when Brittany sent me your name, I was scrolling through your page and I found so much inspirational quotes and so many things that I just
Oh,
wanted to keep up with your account. So I know our followers are going to want to do the same. So, how can people keep up with you? Like, I know you have your Instagram, you can give us your website, whatever it is, however you
okay.
want them to keep up with you.
So my overall website is Ocean View Promotions with an S at the end, all one word.com. So Ocean View Promotions.com, and that houses both companies. That's the Bleeding Ink Creatives and Ocean View Promotions. Under Bleeding Ink Creatives, that's where I offer my services for grant writing, writing services. I have notary services, many different services that I offer. And then under the Ocean View platform, that is where I try to highlight small businesses within the community, nonprofits, and authors. On Instagram, I am at Ocean View Promotions, Bleeding Ink underscore creatives, and also Kai underscore author. So if you go to any one of those, you'll find me. Kai author obviously would have more of my books and everything about me as an author. And then the other two are my business pages. But again, you can find me on either one of those, and they are both on Instagram. Or you can go to my website and find me there, and you can contact me through that as well.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you, Miss Kai, for joining us. And thank you, everyone who's going to tune in. And that's all we have for today. So until next time, continue to practice freedom.